Hi. Hi guys. Welcome to another episode of It Was Never Personal with Yummy Wilfred. It was never personal. It has always been about love, laughter, music, dance, colors, role playing, balance, awareness, authenticity, not taking the ego too seriously, not taking life too seriously. It is all about realizing that this is a dream, an illusion that you and I get to co create with a power higher than us. Therefore, it was never personal. Tune in to get inspired, motivated, and mostly importantly, find ways to love yourself and do that with laughter and joy. This is nothing new. You won't learn anything new from this podcast, but let me tell you something, Henny. It may sound new only because well, we have forgot that which we once knew, and I'm here with this podcast to remind us of that which we forgot. But always remember that it was never personal. It was never personal. Yeah, it was never personal. Mm-mm-mm. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really do admire your oh wow. I was like, am I really I felt like I was on a radio or something because my voice really went really oh thank you for tuning in. I cannot do it if I really try and act it out, but I will say it as the yeah, you will get it. But anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for the support. I really like it. Like, subscribe, share, comment, whatever. If you like what you get, but if anything, I am very proud of everyone who's actually tuning in because it shows that first of all they are aware of that. Actually, there is much more than life as I know it. There's much more than the surface that I see, and I really congratulate you, and I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of me too myself. I'm very proud of you. I'm very appreciative of you because I mean you're taking care of yourself, and because we are one, you are actually taking care of me also. You know, with this podcast, I get to really be able to help raise the consciousness, the human collective consciousness, and you are a part of it. You love yourself. And for that, I just say thank you. And I'm very proud of you for loving yourself and taking care of yourself. You are doing this for you. And yeah, um, thank you again for supporting me. Yes. Now, today's episode is titled We Are a Culture of Addicts. Yes. But what do I really mean about that? Well, before I go into it, let me say this. I remember when let me see, because I have to really, if it was not 14, it was 15. So by that time, I'm 14 or 15 years old. And I've always loved spending time on my own because my aunt will really maybe she's going over somewhere and then she'll be like, can you come in and stay with my house? Yeah, yeah, be the like, stay there just for whatever so that it looks like somebody's over there. And I've always been enjoying those moments the way I spend time alone. I've been doing it ever since. So my aunts will really call me and say, come and spend the day at my house. I want to go just a row or somewhere else. And then that time I'm there and my auntie's not there. My cousin who was also there was not there. So I'm spending this time, this weekend, this it was right around 4 days because I think there was a holiday happening. And during that time, I didn't have a phone because the idea of I not having a phone really came up to me when I was 14 years or 15, let me say 15 years old. Yes, when I was 15 years old, and somehow I really lost my phone. And then I figured out, oh my God, I can actually function without a phone. I can function without it. Like I can do everything. I mean, I'm just a little kid, 15 years old, so I really don't need it. And therefore, I was like, oh, let me see if I would really need it. And I never really liked the idea of having a smartphone or a phone at all from that early age. So 15 years old, I'm at home and I'm planning my day. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try this. Let me see what's happening. So I wake up that day tomorrow because in the evening I went and boarded my aunt and cousin when they went off to Silver. But I go back home. It's evening tomorrow. I wake up And as I woke up, I felt this sense of something is wrong, something is not right. Like something I didn't, I felt this feeling. Like I always say, it's a heaviness of something, like what is happening? I don't know. And I'm there, I'm sitting by the, what was that? I'm sitting by the, there was this other space in the house, that chairs, and I'm sitting there. I'm not even doing anything. I think right around 3 hours went by and I'm just sitting over there really down. And I felt the need to sit down and really feel what was happening. And feeling what was happening within my body, the sensations, I mean, God, those things were not really pleasant. For sure, I judged them and I said, oh, this is bad. So, because it was so weird, it was so strange, but in a very hurting way. And I sat down. I mean, the 3 hours didn't feel like the 3 hours, it felt like 30 to 45 minutes to me. That was until I switched on the television and I'm like, oh my God, look at the time, it's already whatever. And during that time when I was sitting by myself and I'm feeling these emotions, I cried, and I think it was the first time ever during that time when I was 15 years old and I really cried without any cause. I just cried and I was like, what is happening? Why do I feel like I cannot sit with myself? That was the feeling. And actually, that is what I voiced out because I was like, I just cannot sit with myself. I was like, I just don't feel right with myself. And I just sat there and I cried. It wasn't, it wasn't really like that, really, whatever kind of cry. It was just tears running down my face. And I was feeling this pain in my chest. And the sensation in my body, my legs, it was so heavy, you know. And ever since then, I said, you know what, Wilfred, I have to always spend time not doing anything, not reading, not on my phone. I mean, actually, I didn't have a phone, so my phone was, but not really on TV, not eating, not, if anything, I have to spend time and say, let me daydream. And by daydreaming, I mean, I go into my thoughts and I watch my thoughts because actually I was crying and this sensation, I wasn't really actually thinking anything, but it was just this feeling and I just felt like crying and I did it and it released a lot of things. But somehow during the course of time, I was like, let me do it again. But I did it during that 4 days, which was like a mini week. I did it. But then my aunt and my cousin came back. And now I had to do it in front of them. So I take the chair. They are busy doing the home chores. It's really in the afternoon. And I take my chair, go outside, and I sit there and I'm like folding my legs, sitting down as if I'm staring or I'm talking to someone, but actually I'm just observing my thoughts. I'm not into my phone. I'm not even reading. I'm not doing anything. I'm just there and I'm like contemplating my thoughts, but actually I'm not judging them. I'm just aware of them. It's like kind of like a meditation that now I speak of it right now. It's like a meditation, but I do it without actually sitting on the lotus position or actually going, oh, I'm meditating where I sit down and whatever and I breathe. But there, I was just sitting down and I say, let me see what is really running through this body of mine. And the response or the reaction that I got from my cousin and my aunt was so peculiar, but again, it's not really strange because this is something which is not done. They came to me and they were like, what is happening? Oh my God. I remember when they asked me if I really actually was well, if I was depressed, if I want to kill myself. I mean, I'm 15 years old and being this sponge that I am, I suck things way too in and I take stuff too personal because by that time I really didn't really know anything about it, was never personal. So them really telling me that I shouldn't be doing this because I look like I'm crazy, I'm depressed, I want to kill myself. That idea, I mean, I didn't know how to actually explain to them to say, this is what had happened during the time you were gone. I actually sat with myself and I cried and I felt relieved. And I've been doing this for the past 4 days and I love it. And right now you're telling me that I want to kill myself when I'm actually giving myself love, when I'm actually sitting down just observing my thoughts. taking in this present moment when I'm actually here. Like, what is happening? Why are you saying that? I took it so personal. The idea that I'm a depressed kid, the idea that I hate myself, the idea that I want to kill myself. I mean, I just took it too personal. But X-ray eyes on the situation. It had nothing to do with me. Them saying that I'm actually depressed has to do with them because I guess they felt somewhat pain or whatever. But anyways, I'm not here to talk about them. I'm here to talk about my experience. So from that moment, I actually couldn't do it with them. I couldn't do it with them. And but ever since, I remember that I've always loved sitting alone with myself, sitting and really being aware of my thoughts. And it's so peculiar, it's so strange because this is not something which is done. Why? Because for you to actually sit with yourself, for you to be with yourself, you when you just sit down and you contemplate or you observe or you become the witness of your thoughts and feelings, the first thing that you're going to recognize is how much pain you are in. You're going to really realize of how much pain, fear, of how much negativity you have inside. And because because of that, that is the reason why I actually cried. I believe the reason why I cried and I felt so anxious and I felt like what was happening, because for the very first time I actually sat down and I really paid attention to how I was feeling it that morning. I didn't say, "Oh, I don't want to." I didn't go and turn on the TV or play some loud music or anything. I actually sat down and I felt it. I sat with myself, with my thoughts, with my whatever, but I was present. And people are not, people don't do it because, or most people don't do it because for you to actually sit down and be with yourself, the first thing that you're going to recognize is how much pain you are in, you know? And that is so painful. It's so painful. That is why we don't do it. And by that, we then become a culture of addicts. Because we for us to not really actually be present, we try and really go away from this present moment. Like the others, from the last episode when I talked about how my friend actually sent me this other thing where it says, we're actually doing something like you be eating, you be with a friend, talking to your friend, you are eating a meal. On top of eating a meal and talking to your friend, you also have your phone on. And on top of having your phone on and scrolling through the social media. Okay, I think I'm saying this fast. I have to really slow it down. So, like an instance that I said on the last episode, you are taking in a meal, whatever, breakfast, lunch, supper, brunch, whatever you name it, a snack, you are eating. And instead of actually focusing on your eating, on the food, on how it tastes or whatever, you're like, oh, let me talk to my friend. So you're talking to your friend and you're eating at the same time. And as if that is not enough to actually deter you from the present moment, you will eat, talk to your friend with the food on your mouth, and then you will switch on your phone. Switching on your phone to actually get on social media, famously the TikTok or YouTube or whatever, or Snapchat. So you have your phone on, scrolling through phone. The other hand has a phone on it. The other one is actually handing a fork or a spoon, and you are eating. And by that time, again, this mouth is busy eating and talking at the same time. As if that is not enough, that phone on your other hand is actually getting you active because now you are commenting, you are liking, you are saving, you are sharing the content of the TikTok, Instagram, whatever that you have there. So your mind is actually preoccupied, and so it's overwhelmed. Like, oh my god, like how are we doing that? It's so sad, because the thing is that we want to actually escape this moment, this very moment right here. Like, you don't want to sit down with yourself while eating the food. You don't want to have any attention, any awareness of the present moment. And by not having any awareness of the present moment or of life is at this present moment, you are actually detaching from yourself because you are one with life. You are one with this present moment. You are taking attention away from yourself and you are seeking external power or external means or the without world to actually be the one which you give attention to. But as if it's not enough for you to actually give something outside one attention, you actually become a multitasker. And what you do is that you are eating, talking, on the phone, commenting, liking, whatever. And on top of that, you are thinking. It's so, so heavy. And that is what I mean by we are a culture of addicts. Because we are all addicted to something. And right now I feel like the thing that one of the hindsights things that people are addicted to, and the system or the collective, the society, our culture is not actually acknowledging, is cell phones. We are so addicted to the cell phones. We are so addicted um to social media, you know. And it's so funny because as parents, we will allow our kids to have the cell phone, and it's like, oh, it's fine. They're not on social media. Social media is the addictive thing, but they're always playing games. And it's so funny how research shows that these little boys or these little teenagers who are addicted to pornography. It all started with them being addicted to television, watching cartoons. And because now they grow up and they get bored of cartoons, because guess what? They go to school and then it's like, oh, you still watch Ben 10, you still watch Tom and Jerry, which actually have a lot of life lessons. They deter from the cartoons and they become addicted to games. They play games, PlayStation, whatever. You know, these boys then, because they are playing the games and whatever, and usually maybe if they're connected to the Wi-Fi or internet or have mobile data, what happens is that you would have this ads coming in. And honey, this ads, you click onto it, a 7-year old, a 14-year old, a 6-year old, a 4-year old child clicks on an ad and it takes him to, oh honey, welcome to XXY, welcome to XXX, welcome to Wilfred K Star 7, I'm the porn star, we gonna do it like this. So it's like they become introduced to this pornographic world at an early age. And pornography is not bad. It's fine. It's not bad. It's what, but it is like, because this person is very young, 6 years old, 7 years old, 14 years old. They see this thing which is addictive. And when you get to actually the pornography side or the sites, the websites, the videos that are done in a way that actually entices or excites or stimulates the human mind. So imagine a 6-year old being stimulated, being activated mentally by pornography. And it's actually like, okay, pornography is actually doing the same thing that the games are doing. So the games that these little kids are playing are actually stimulating their minds the same way that pornography does it. And it's so funny how our culture, we are not actually admitting that actually we are addicted to phones. We are addicted to television, reality TV shows, because when you are watching these reality TV shows, which for most of them are actually just competition, fear derived thing, negative, about pulling each other down, saying nasty stuff to each other. You get to watch it and you get to feed this this entity of you, which you have, which is the pain body, as Eckhart Tolle calls it, or to put it in simple terms, it really fits that thing that loves negativity in you, that loves pain. So you're watching this reality TV show and or whatever movie or whatever, and it takes you away from this present moment. So you become so seated there because you're not thinking, but actually you are thinking through the TV, because you become one with the idea and the thoughts of whatever that you see on the TV, and you become so addicted to it and you stay stuck there, because that way you do not get to face life as is. As much as someone who's actually scrolling through social media from maybe for like 5 hours, whatever, it's like they're so stimulated because after one post, after one thing, after one feed, after one reel, after the mind is still stimulated, still busy. Its attention is deterred from life at this present moment. And the same thing with the little kid who's actually playing the phone on or the laptop or the PSP, whatever, the PlayStation. Their mind is so stimulated. And these things, people don't really recognize them as addictions. Why? Because, I mean, hey, we're trying to make money, you know. So we wouldn't actually tell you that whatever that we're trying to make money through is actually addictive. We wouldn't say that. Rather, we would attack the already attacked thing and say, actually, drugs and alcohol are the addictive things, and we stop there. But honey, it's the same mechanism. The people who are addicted to drugs and alcohol are actually addicted to it, or they return there because by it is their means, is by the alcohols and drugs that their mind is actually sedated or stimulated. When it's sedated, it falls below consciousness, so they're not thinking, you know, they're not really conscious of this moment. They're really below this they're really below this present moment, or this level of consciousness. They're actually not thinking, they are below thought, so they are really away from this present moment, you know. So drugs take you away from the present moment, alcohol takes you away from the present moment, and guess what, social media takes you away from the present moment, television takes you away from the present moment, pornography takes you away from the present moment. And the number one addiction, which I think later on we will, as scientists, as the people or the scientists will find out, is actually that we as a collective are suffering from mental addiction. Mental addiction, I mean, we are addicted to thinking. And by that I mean that it's not like we are thinking. Thinking happens to us, you know. So what we are addicted to is to identify and to really get, because we're always thinking, like, you see someone and you already label them, judge them, say that, and then it's like, oh, oh, look at that dress. That dress is yellow. I hate yellow. I mean, why would they wear yellow? Actually, I think they're not really. I mean, I wouldn't marry her. I mean, I wouldn't marry him. I mean, I wouldn't. It's like there's always a thought after a thought after a thought after a thought after, and we are addicted to that. Why? Because by that we are actually able to deter from this present moment, and all in all, so that we do not feel the pain. We do not feel this pain, which is the immediate result, or the immediate product that will come off when we actually take our our um, our attention to this present moment. When we sit with ourselves, we are going to realize that pain, and because we don't want to realize that pain, we will actually now cope or acquire these coping mechanisms by which we are saying, I'm dealing with my pain, with my trauma, with this. And there comes all the addictions. And an addiction is not something which causes you harm, but an addiction is anything that deters you from actually feeling whatever feeling that you are supposed to feel right at this present moment, you know. So you really push this feelings and everything, you push these situations, these experiences, these sensations under the rug. You put them under the table, you put them under the chair, you cover them up with a blanket. Oh, and the blanket, I'll call it an addiction. Phone, games, um, pornography, alcohol, drugs, food, television, whatever you want to do with thinking, eating, you know, it's like this are means of actually deterring from the present moment. It is a way to actually cope with the pain that you already have. But it is until that you feel that pain and sit with it that you'll be able to transmute it and transform it into joy, into peace. Because pain by itself is not bad. It is by pain that we get to actually find and heal those parts of ourselves which need healing, those wounded parts of ourselves, you know. We get to become vulnerable through pain, and we are able to heal and grow. But there's this idea that, or even our ego, and our ego is actually resistant against pain. It doesn't want to feel pain. And if suffering or pain arises, it will run away. You know, it's like, what can I do? Oh my God, I don't know. I don't have to feel this. I cannot sit with myself, so I have to do something. But again, what you resist persists. It all goes back to that, you know? So, this is actually why I'm saying we are a culture of addicts. It was never personal. It was never personal. So with that said, um, the reason why we're actually doing this, or we are deterring away from, or we use addictions to actually cover, is the blanket that covers our situations or sensations that we don't actually want to feel, is because we are not taught it. We are not taught the ways of how to process our feelings. And with that said, I like to say this: by the moment you start, actually, from the moment you are addicted, be it 7 years old, 9 years, 10 years, 24 years, 30 years old, from that moment when you're addicted, you stop feeling your emotions. You stop really being yourself. You detach from yourself. So it is until you withdraw from the addiction that you actually feel the emotion. And unfortunately, but again, fortunately, the thing that would arise first is the pain that you never faced, that you never wanted to face. But it is until you walk through that fire, that pain, that you'll be able to actually go to the other side and see that there's light at the end of the tunnel. But it's very, very heavy. And it's a lot of responsibility. It's self-love. Self-love is responsibility. That's just it. You are responsible for your life. You actually you are responsible for your life experience. You are responsible for what you think. You are responsible for what you feel. You are the co-creator with the with this power, with this higher power. Like I said on the last episode, you are a witch, a powerful witch. You know, so it is your responsibility to actually take that tall order and say, I'm going to love myself and actually walk through the feelings. And actually, there are multiple ways in which you can actually process your feelings. But like I always say, recognize it, acknowledge that is there, and feel it. Be the awareness of the feeling, and say, I'm feeling this because I thought this. And just be able to see the situation with x ray eyes. And, you don't have to think. You don't have to think. Feelings are a direct entry to the soul because your soul is trying to show you something, it's trying to tell you something. And by feelings, we can actually connect to that higher self, which we are, because all the wisdom, all the knowledge, all the whatever, all the guidance, the intuition comes from that. And it is by our feelings that we can actually see if we are detaching or we are attaching to ourself, to our true self, to our being, to our whatever you want to call it, to our higher self, to the true self, to your inner child. And you owe it. I owe it to my inner child. You owe it to your inner child. We all owe it to our inner child to love them, to show them love, to care for them, and actually feel through whatever emotion that that's trying to show us, and not try and actually say, let's try alcohol, let's do this, let's just feel it. Be here in this present moment and stop self-medicating. Yeah. That's just what it is. And at the end of the day, I realize that we are angry. We are a society which is depressed. We are anxious, We are all these things which are fear infused. We are sick. We are unhappy. We are unable to dance, to laugh, to sing, to stand still with ourselves, to be with ourselves, to stand and be there as the awareness of our thoughts. We are unable to create magic. We are unable to laugh at life because guess what? We are not willing to be present at this moment. We are not. You know, we are rather detached from it because we are depressed. We are angry. We are just full of fear. We are full of fear, and you can see the manifestations of the fear that we have as a collective. You know, the corruption by the governments, the hate between nations, the national wars. The conflicts in our families, the hate and you would think that actually the hate between one family and another family, or the hate between two nations, has nothing to do with you, but it shows that to some level you hate yourself, because only if you hate yourself, then you are able to actually hate someone. It is what you have that you would give off. So if you hate yourself and you have that self-loathing, you would project it outwards. It's like when I'm singing, when I'm dancing, when I'm having fun, and someone says to me, "You're making noise." I mean, I get it. I can make noise and I can say, "I'm sorry you were sleeping all the way," but whatever. I'm actually having fun. I'm walking through across the road, you know, and then you come up to me, "Why are you singing? You're making noise. You don't even know how to sing. You don't even know how to dance. You are not even, why are you laughing like that? You cannot laugh like that." Honey, it has nothing to do with you. I understand that, I create magic when someone comes to me and says and tries to bring down my magic, because actually it's them recognizing that they hate themselves, but they will not really feel it through themselves. They will really feel it through me. So they would actually confess that they hate themselves and they are scared of my dance, laughter, music, singing, my voice, they will judge it and whatever, all because they are afraid of this joy, this happiness, this whatever. And it's actually not happiness, it's just joy. It's peace. It's love. Oh my God. It's of a high vibration, you know. But I don't take it personal. I always go, "Oh, okay." But I really go anyway. So, as a task to give you guys, for you to actually be able to access that light, that love, that joy, that soul which is inside you, you have to just remove the blockage, remove the debris, remove all this waste that is in the path, clear the path so that your soul can come through you, so that the light of God can shine through you. And you can start doing that by actually sitting down and actually asking yourself, where am I stuck? Where am I still operating as a victim? Where am I playing small? Because actually, p- all of my addictions, all of my behaviors, which are just deterring me from myself, deterring me from this present moment, all my behaviors and actions, which are actually reflecting of how much I do not want to stay present, are are just an are just the result of me playing small, of me being a victim and believing that I'm a victim. So just clear that path. Sit down and just feel what you're feeling. It all starts there. It's self love. Love yourself. I mean, if you can love yourself, are you going to, RuPaul said it. But I mean, love yourself. That is it. And just love I mean, I remember when these other girls asked me, and I was after presenting from my com class, and they asked me, but how are you able to actually come off as confident and just give um that presentation the way you do it? And I'm like, well, it's not really about confidence, but it's actually just about um self-love. I love myself. And I remember there's other guys who actually were my friends, right now, that are really doing medicine, and they were asking me, Wilfred, how are you able to stay positive and whatever? Like, honey, I love myself, but it's not easy. Nothing is ever easy. Even the act of actually sitting down and being aware of your thoughts is not easy, because they will always be there. Your inner saboteur saying, you don't have time. You don't have time for this. You don't have time to sit down and actually go, I want to be the awareness of my thoughts. I don't have time for this. I'll do it later. I don't even have time to meditate. I don't have time to pray. I have things to really take care of, because it is the same voice which is actually deterring you from this present moment, from actually accessing yourself, from moving towards your soul, your spirit, whatever you want to call it. It is the same thing. But I'll leave you with that and say, love thyself, you know and just make sure that you do this, because sooner or later we are all going to face the effects of really being detached from the present moment, as is being attached, detached from ourselves. I love you so much, guys. Love yourself. This is It Was Never Personal with Yummy Wilfred. And remember, it was never